Welcome back to another episode of the Profitable Home Services Podcast. This is the podcast where we uncover hidden profit leaks. It's also where we help you build a business that's not just busy, because busy isn't profitable, not necessarily, but we want you to be wildly profitable. I'm your host, Diane Gardner, and today I'm going to be talking to Dr. Ruth Mannschreck, and she has an interesting story to share with you as we start heading into our topic. So hold on, and let's see what Ruth has to share with us. Welcome, Ruth. Thank you for being on our program today.
Hi, Diane. Thank you so much for inviting me. This is a wonderful opportunity, and I can't wait to talk to your audience.
Well, good. Why don't we start with telling my audience a little bit about your backstory?
Sure. So I'm a dentist, and I started my own practice from scratch. We were going along. We were doing really well. We were busy 5 days a week. I had 2 little boys, and then my daughter was born. She had a very traumatic birth. She was in intensive care for almost 6 weeks.
Oh,
And
wow.
I know. And when she came home, she had to see 8 different doctors every week.
Oh, my goodness.
And my husband has a full-time career. I have a full-time practice. So I went back to my team, and I always want to bring that point out that what I didn't do on my own. My team and I created this whole thing that we have. I went back to my team and I said, we have to scrunch what we do in 5 days down to 2.5. That's all we have is 2.5 days every week. And we did it.
Talk about Parkinson's law.
Yes, who knew? And I have to admit, if I hadn't been in such a pickle, I don't think I would have imagined that I could have done it. But it was, we did it, and in a year, it took us a year to get back up to the revenue that we were doing previously. And after that, we grew it. And we never did go back to 5 days a week.
And how old is your daughter now?
My daughter's she's 32.
Okay, so this is not just a couple years ago. This
right.
is something you've had running for years.
Yes, oh yeah, I've been in practice for 37 years. So I'm
Wow.
retired now. But when we accomplished the way our design, the way we set up our business model, I thought this is something I needed to share with other business owners, because even if they just took a fraction of what we did, they don't have to cut their time in half. But if you could give a business owner back 10 hours a week,
10 hours could
wouldn't
be a
that
game
be
changer.
marvelous?
Yes.
So that's how I got started on this mission to help business owners not just manage time, because I think I don't believe in time management. I think there's no such thing. I think time is this ethereal thing we created so that we could talk about things. And there's no managing it. You don't, it's kind of silly to manage something you can't even get a hold of. But what you want to do is manage behaviors. And that's what we've done in our business. And we have 5 different areas in every business that you need to touch on in order to really cut back on the involvement of the owner in the practice or in the business.
Okay, so now you've got us all wondering,
I know.
what are the 5 areas?
So the first one, which is actually the most important one, is you need robust operating systems. Everything.
Oh, that's that nasty S word.
I know, but it's so important. It is.
It is.
And it's hard to wrap your brain around the idea that systems create freedom, but they really do.
They really do.
Get rid of the line of people outside your office door that have to ask you a question. They keep the owner from being the bottleneck in their own business. So if you need a place to start as far as how do I systematize things in my business, the most impactful system to start with is what I call the customer journey. So it's everything from when the first phone call, when somebody answers the phone, to taking that information, to giving it to dispatch, to scheduling the work, making a game plan for what's going to happen, delivering the services, all the way to how do you follow up with that new customer when you're finished delivering the services. That whole system needs to be a system so that each step along the way is its own little entity and someone is responsible for it. Someone is a champion. Doesn't mean they have to do it, but they need to be responsible for making sure that everybody knows if you're going to do an intake phone call, if you're going to answer the phone, you have to get this information. You have to pass that information on to the next person, which nowadays means you have to input it into the computer in this spot so that it can be seen by everyone. So if you think that way about each step, and the part that I like to add to that is to think about how do you want your customer to feel at each step along the way. When you answer the phone and it's a shopper, they just want to know, are you cheap? Can I afford you? How do you want to make them feel about your company? When you're done delivering services and you're doing your little walkthrough at the end with the homeowner, how do you want them to feel? Like describe that, and make sure that your guys in your teams understand how to create that in your customer.
Can I insert something in
Yeah.
there? We have internal customers and we have external customers. Our
Mm-hmm.
external customers, what you were just talking about, people
Right.
sometimes don't realize we have internal customers, and that's each other. Right now, you and I are being internal customers to each other.
Right.
And
Right.
oftentimes, when we're looking at a system or a process, we forget about who is it going to next? How am I going to hand this off so that when it comes from Diane's world into Ruth's world,
Right.
she has the information she needs because I fully done my job. And now she
Right.
can pick it up and take it and run it, and she passes it off to somebody else. And I think we forget about that internal customer, and communication then gets dropped along the way, which then the end result is that outside external customer does not have a good experience.
Right. Right.
And somebody
So,
dropped the ball in there.
So if you're not sure as an owner what all the steps are in your process, think back to what does your team complain about? Like, is it the misfit between the person that answers the phone and the dispatcher? Or is it the misfit between the estimator and what the guys actually find once they get to the
They
house?
get there. I hear that one all the time.
All the time. So
All the time.
listen
Yeah.
to your complaints from your employees or your contractors, because that's going to show you where the system has a leak or has a hole and it's not working the right way. One time I found, I worked with a painting company and they had two estimators, and each estimator had a different process for how they, and so the people in purchasing could never do anything with the information until they knew who it was that did the estimate, because then okay, this is how he does it, and so his notes mean this, and it's like, so that's not good communication, listening to where your people complain about what happens in their job, what are the friction points for them, that helps you find all the pieces of because many times we're missing a piece and we don't even notice it.
We don't even know it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that kind of leads into the second area.
Okay.
That's hugely important to go with your systems is you need built-in communication. Because if one step of the process doesn't automatically speak to the next step or to all the people, so you need, nowadays it's software, you need a software that each step along the way, someone can go in and find what they need, what it means. They know all the scribbles, what they mean. without having to ask questions, because it's those questions that slow us down. Those are the friction
Right.
points,
Yeah.
you know? I had a client say to me, Ruth, don't tell me I have to have more meetings, because in her mind, better communication meant more meetings. So just an insider, I hate meetings. I don't like meetings. I do them, but only, as few as possible. So here's just one example for your listeners. We have every morning what I call a standing morning huddle, where all the team gets together and we go over the day's schedule. So Mrs. Jones is coming in. Is her lab work finished? Mrs. Harris is getting her teeth cleaned, so we're going to need somebody to be there and hold her hand because she's terrified all the time. Just understanding what's happening that day, making sure you have everything you need. And you can look at the schedule and say, so where are the holes in the schedule that we need to fill? So
Okay.
there's a lot of emergencies can get tucked in because you actually look at the holes in the schedule and say, what would fit in here? What can we do in
Okay.
here? And then we look at the next day and say, are we ready? Do we have all the equipment? Do we have everything we need? Is there, are we waiting for estimates? Are we waiting for insurance companies? Looking ahead intentionally so that there's no surprises for us, it was when a patient walked in the door and we couldn't find their lab work, or no one knew
Oh, no.
why the color was wrong.
Uh-huh.
All those things were figured out as a group so that everyone knew what was going on, where the potential adventures might be for the day,
Right.
because every company has adventures with their
They do.
customers. You never know.
Yep.
But if you talk about it ahead of time, it gave our team an opportunity to brainstorm. Like Mrs. Jones is coming in today and she's just contrary about everything. How can I help me learn some words that I can use to help calm her down? And we brainstorm, what can we do to help Mrs. Jones have a better experience in our office? And I think sometimes if the teams that are actually in people's homes had a chance to just brainstorm and say, I have to talk to this gentleman who wants to know every nickel and dime about what I'm doing. And it keeps me from focusing on my work. How can I handle, just talk
Right.
about
Talk
what's
about it.
going on, because the other delivery teams are the best place to find answers to problems that come up willy-nilly,
What an amazing training opportunity, especially for your, I will use the word younger,
Yeah,
but probably less experienced
sure.
people. They get to hear these discussions and it may not apply
Yep.
to them today, but
Mhm.
down the road, it's like, wait a minute, we talked about that, and they have a
Right.
tool in their toolbox to use.
Yep.
Yeah.
Something I can try
Right.
different and see how that goes. Um, so those are the first two: systems and good communication. The third piece to look at is you really want high performing team members. So it all boils down to the people that you have on your team. Sometimes it's hard to find team members, and as owners, we feel like I just need a breathing body to stand here and hold this paintbrush, because and that's really not the way to look at
No.
who are you going to put on your team. So there are several things in a company that make your company attractive or winsome to new candidates as you're thinking about hiring. One of them is the culture in your business. And I think culture starts with the core values that the owner
Yes.
has,
Yeah.
So core values has a bad rap because most of us have said, here are the 5 words that represent my company. It's got excellence and quality service and all these things, and they put it on a plaque on the wall and no one ever looks at it again.
Yep. Yep. One and
So
done.
I
Yeah.
know. So what I encourage owners to do is to take your core values and turn them into core behaviors.
Ooh, I like that.
So if someone was going to role model compassion, I'm just picking a word for a core value. If I was going to role model compassion to customers, exterior customers, outside customers, what would that look like? And so one of my clients was actually a manufacturing firm. They had 6 core values and they turned them into 30 behaviors. They made a list of 30
Very good.
behaviors that
Yeah.
exemplified those core values. And then they created a contest for, they had their employees catch each other role modeling one of the behaviors.
Oh, how cool.
And there were prizes involved. I mean, this was serious. People were like, I saw John talk to this cranky lady and he did this, which exemplifies our core value of whatever, you know? So I encourage people to, because core values are wonderful. They really do help your team perform their best without you being there, because they can use your core values to help them make decisions. But it's hard if they're just words on the wall.
Right.
It's easier for them to understand how to make decisions like you want them to if they have a list of behaviors. So when they get to a hard spot, a spot where they're stuck, if they can look at your behaviors and say, now, which one of these would match what I'm trying to do? What can I use as an example to get me through so I don't have to go to the boss and say, how should I handle this? The idea is to get rid of the line of people outside your office every day. Does that make sense?
Very much. I really like it. I'm taking notes as you're talking.
Yeah, it's so fun. I like want to shout this stuff from the rooftop because it's not brain surgery, but it is very thoughtful. And
it is.
It's a great way to involve your team. I'm not saying that business owners should sit down and convert their core values into behaviors all by themselves. This is a great team building exercise.
You bet.
You know, to get them to sit down and say, well, what does this word mean to you? And what does it look like when somebody does that? You come up with all kinds of wonderful things. Makes for great conversations, and it helps your team members get to know each other, because in service industries, your team that's in a truck knows each other pretty well, but they don't always know people in the other trucks.
No.
You know, somehow
or in the office or whatever.
Yes. You know, you want them to get to know each other so that when they answer the phone and, oh, it's Sally in the office, you don't get a giant eye roll because, oh no, it's Sally. You know, it's someone that they know, someone that they've worked with, someone that they have a little more understanding about how they think and how they feel.
Well, I hope our listeners are taking notes just like I'm doing, because this is good stuff. So tell us, what's number 4?
So number 4 is actually building that culture to house your team. And it means you need to focus on your team members. And I'm going to say that one way to do it, I think companies in general have what they like to call performance reviews. I like to think of them as growth conferences, so that because everybody makes mistakes and everybody learns at a different pace. But when you've spelled out your core values for your company and you've even listed out behaviors, it becomes really straightforward to have a conversation with someone on your team who missed the mark. You know, because you can say, our core behavior is this. You did this, and can you see the discrepancy? Can you see how it doesn't fit? Makes the conversation not, I'm the owner and I don't like what you did, so stop it. Do you know what I mean? So
it's parent-child type of
I know. And
conversation.
We're talking about adults, you know, who are providing good services. So you want them to be able to, on their own, come up with, how close is this? What can I do to get closer to the right behavior? You know, and I encourage people to in their growth conferences, because you pick areas that you're going to evaluate your team members on, whether they have the skills that they need to have. Are they responsible? Are they on time? All the things that you want. And I encourage owners to put a scale in there, like on a scale of 1 to 5, how is this employee doing as far as showing up on time? And so if the employee is only at a 3, so what can we do between now and your next growth conference to get you up to a 4 or a 5? What's that going to look like? And then you make note of that, and everybody signs that that's what we talked about. Those are the objectives, and I'm going to get it done by the next growth conference. So that it gives you, they see that they're growing, and the owner has what I call a breadcrumb trail for if things don't work, you have documented all your attempts to help them improve.
Right.
Before you'd have to let someone go.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I've always hated performance reviews.
I don't like the word, I don't like it at all.
Well, plus they're only done once, maybe twice a year. And so the only thing that you have to talk to somebody about is what's happened in the last couple weeks or month.
Right.
What about all the other stuff?
Yeah.
What about the fantastic stuff that you've forgotten about?
Right.
Yeah, which is why I've never really liked them, because of that type of a feeling. And the employees feel it. They hate them too.
But this way, you're coming into your next growth conference with an agenda.
Yep.
So you have, sure, you can say, well, this is how you're doing in all these areas now, but let's see how you've done on making the improvements that that we asked for. And it's a wonderful time for owners to put some investment in your employees, because sometimes employees don't always need stock options or a 401k. They're kind of living paycheck to paycheck. So what would be an investment that you could make? One of my clients held a little class, a seminar on how to balance your checkbook, because most of his employees didn't even have a bank account, and they had no idea how to do that. But what a great investment to make. You're going to help them be a better person. And one of the pushbacks I get from owners is, well, if I improve them too much, they're going to leave and go out on their own, and I think that's very short-sighted way to look at it. I just came to you just have to own up to the fact that, yes, somebody might leave. They're going to leave. It's okay. You're going to have a better employee because you grew them while they were with you.
Right. Yeah.
And in my world, that far outweighs what it costs to send them on their way after years of them being there and growing. You got some great time out of that employee.
Right.
We tend to forget, like you said, we're thinking about the last 2 weeks, and now they're gone. But think about how long they've been there and how they have improved as an employee because you invested in their improvement. So that's, and that kind of leads right into the last area, which is you need some great leadership for this team, for this cash generating machine that you've got that now runs without you so much, but you do need to lead. And people have different ideas about what I was looking down on my dogs down here on I didn't want to step on my dog. People have different ideas about what does leadership mean. If you're old like me, when I was young, I learned that leadership is top down. So I'm the leader because I know stuff, because I have experience. I'm the leader, and you just do what I tell you. That's
what we were told.
That's leadership. So that's leading from the front. That's like, this is what we're going to do, and everybody follow me. Well, I'm going to tell you, today's younger people are not interested in top-down leadership at all. I have 4 kids. They're all millennials, and they don't get it. They're not interested. Like, that doesn't mean you get to lead just because So we try to work on not leading from the front, not leading from a top down, and giving your employees an opportunity to use their problem solving skills and their creativity. Because when you lead from the top down, it requires no creativity or decision making on the part of your employees. It's just be a robot, do what I say, because I know it works. So I want you to do that. Right. Yeah. So that's the scary part of trying to lead from the middle, is saying, here's what we want. This is the a picture of the outcome that I want you to get. Here are your parameters. Here are the guardrails. These are the rules for how to get there, but I want you to get there on your own. Like, tell me how you would solve this problem. So when I first learned this, so I'm in a dental office. People could die in my office if things aren't done properly. It was very scary to me to give anyone permission to do something differently than what I knew worked perfectly well, you know? But look at it from your team members' point of view. If you do an exceptional job of painting a picture of the end result that they have to get to, giving them guardrails so they know the parameters that they have to work in between, and let them use their own creativity. They come up with ways of doing things you would never have thought of. And you use their brain. You make them feel appreciated. Like someone knows I'm a human and not a robot, which, sad to say, our kids nowadays need that reassurance. They are not interested. They will be gone tomorrow. If they just show up and be a robot, nobody wants to do that anymore. You know? So being a leader, and you do it kind of in stages. So if you are a out front leader, you take steps to get so that you're leading from the middle. And eventually, once you get your team used to the idea of running the business without you, you can lead from the back. So that they are running the show. You are monitoring, you're leading, but from the back, so that they are what makes the company run. That's how you get a business that runs without you. So that's how we put together a world based on behaviors, not on time management or trying to do things that you're not good at. I want owners to be able to do the part they love. Like most owners have one thing they're really good at. Like maybe they are the rainmaker for the company, or maybe they're the brand face of the company, like the community knows them, or maybe they're good at the delivery part. Maybe they just live for what it is, doing what they love to do. But I want owners to be able to do that one thing that they're really good at and let your team do all of the rest. All of the rest.
Get out of their way.
Yep. But you need all those pieces in order to make it work so nothing falls on the floor when you're not looking.
You bet. So I'm going to do just a quick recap in case anybody joined us like partway into the program. So number one in your program was we need systems, and we need them to accurately reflect what we're doing. Number two was building in some communication, making sure we're not dropping ball and we hand things off to each other. Number three was high performing team members and taking your core values and turning them into core behaviors. Number four, building out culture, using growth conference instead of performance reviews so we can grow our team. And then number five, great leadership, get out of their way and let them do their jobs.
Teach them to trust, have confidence in their own decision-making abilities, because they understand how you want things done based on your core values and the core behaviors that they've role modeled and they understand.
Very nice. Now, as we're looking at this overall, I'm going to call this an overall system. It can have a tremendous impact on the bottom line profits in a business.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness.
Thousands of dollars worth of effect on that.
Yeah.
simply because now you have a team that's working well together. We've cut out all the wasted time and the frivolousness and the making big mistakes and having to go back and redo them and
Mm-hmm.
unhappy customers and just all that stuff that lands in the middle of there. We've cut all that out
Right.
because we now have a well-functioning team
Mm-hmm.
and a team that can function without that owner.
Right, right. Um, and tracing questions is a great way to find where the holes are in what you're doing. Like, where do people need to ask questions? Because that means information wasn't communicated well enough, or it was lacking, wasn't complete. But wherever people complain or ask questions, those are the places to really dig in and say, so what are we missing? What part of the system, and how can we communicate better? Because many times it's just a lack of communication is why people end up standing around waiting to ask the boss their questions.
I remember the days when my team was lined up outside my office
I
door.
know. It's
I
a
just wanted
horror.
to go hide.
I know.
Leave me alone, everybody.
Yes, So if you could create a system and have it communicated well that answered all those questions, and then core values so that they can use those behaviors to make decisions without you. Because they
Wow.
understand how you would do that based on your core values.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing
Yeah.
with us.
Oh, I love this. It held my world together, so
Uh-huh.
that it worked. But I love going through this. This is one of the programs we do, goes through all these to help owners. Owners would love to just have 10 hours back a week,
Yes.
would change their whole attitude. So many owners come to me and say, I love my business. It's awesome. I hate my life because I never get to go home,
Right. Yeah.
you know?
Yep. Might as well just put the bed at the office. I'm there all the time
Oh,
anyhow.
I know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there is hope. This can all be figured out,
Yep.
and your team is a key piece in getting it all worked out.
And I'm going to take a big guess here that you could start doing this in baby steps.
Oh,
You're not going
absolutely.
to jump in and do all five of these all at
Right,
once. Pick
right.
one and start working on one of those areas because I know that a lot of my home service guys are overachievers. They're going to grab
Uh-huh.
all five
Yep,
and
yep,
say, let's
yep.
go. We got this. Get out of our way. We got
hmm
this. So
Well,
pick
and
one
when you
and
have an overachiever for a boss, then your team members start to say, "Oh no, let's not go to changing all of." I mean, all
right.
immediately you have pushback and
Pushback
backpedaling, and
and
um,
they're scared. They don't like all that
yeah,
change and yeah.
you know,
So pick one area and start
hmm
slowly, baby steps. Get your team to buy in. Let them
yeah,
see what's in it for them and why, this is a good thing in
right,
your company.
right, right,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, very good. Wow, this is some nice profit building topic
yeah,
today. Yeah,
yes, I truly believe.
right. So I'm going to ask you our famous question that we ask at
Uh-huh.
the end of every single podcast. Ruth, can you share a hidden or unique profit leak that you've seen when you work with home service businesses?
I would say the biggest that I've seen is not reaching out to existing customers who have finished, have their service delivery, not reaching out to them for additional services.
Yes.
So from the moment that you do a walkthrough to show, and possibly you have them do a survey, like how did everything go? So they rate you. You have them write a review. But then after that, what happens?
Right.
Where do those names and addresses go, and who keeps in connection with them? How can you keep them in your world so that, not that you want to bug them, but you want your company name to stay top of mind?
You bet. Yes. Whether they need another service or a friend or a neighbor
Right.
or
Yep.
family member, somebody, that's such a huge profit leak and one that I talk about in my coaching groups all the
Uh-huh.
time is there's gold in that customer
Yeah.
list if
Yep.
somebody will own it and
Mm-hmm.
stay up to date with it, stay current and reach out to people and just call and check in with them. Hey, just checking to see how
Mm-hmm.
things are going.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just genuinely want to
Right.
care. How are
Right.
things going?
Mm-hmm.
If you can
And
have
I,
that ambassador like that, oh wow.
yeah. Some companies have turned it into subscription services,
Mm-hmm.
so that your ongoing maintenance,
Yes.
um, or just knowing what is the sales cycle, not the sales cycle, but the resale cycle, like in the, you know, real estate market. It used to be that every 7 years people would buy a house. So you
Mm-hmm.
needed to keep in front of them for 7 years. And
Wow.
then I know it's a
That's a
so
long cycle, yeah.
yep. So think about it. When you paint the inside of somebody's house, when is the next time they're gonna think that they
Right.
need a refresh? Um, just thinking, because every service industry has its own cycle,
Cycle. Yeah.
when people are
Yeah.
ready to do something else or even just to suggest it. A lot of companies use a newsletter, maybe
Mm-hmm.
quarterly, just to stay top of mind.
Yeah.
It's a
So
place to
that,
show off your
yeah.
gallery of successful projects,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
put testimonials from your happy clients, you know,
Yep.
but just some way to keep in contact,
Yeah.
be connected.
You don't want that customer Googling
I
XYZ
know.
kind of service
Yes.
because they can't remember your name. And I've shared this on
Yes.
another podcast a few years back. We had a plumber that came and did a great job on a problem in my office, but I've never heard from him since. And we needed
Ah,
another plumbing job done a couple months ago. I couldn't remember his name, couldn't even tell you
yeah.
who it was. So we had to go
Mhm.
find a different plumber. Now, had he stayed in contact with us,
Yeah.
he would have got another job,
Yeah.
but he didn't. And so
Yep.
he lost any ongoing work that
Right.
we've needed over the last few years.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
staying in contact with your customers is
Hmm.
huge.
Right.
Yeah,
That's probably the biggest one that I see.
yeah, yeah. That is a big profit leak. Yeah, thank you for sharing that one with
Hmm.
us.
Yeah.
So Ruth, what's
Yeah.
the best way if somebody wanted to explore your program and figure out
Hmm.
how to get your time back because
Hmm.
now you've got a well operating team there? What's the best way that they can reach out to you and find out more about what you do?
I actually have a gift, a
Okay.
resource for your audience. If they go to workfewerhours.com, there's they can just click on the button and they'll get a copy of the 5 areas. It's like a checklist of the 5 areas
Okay.
that we spoke of. My company name is Shoreline Strategies, and shorelinestrategies.com is our website, and they can see the programs that we offer. The program that focuses on your business that runs without you is called Business Lifestyle by Design.
Okay.
But I think the best place to start is at that URL, the workfewerhours.com. It's a
Okay.
great place to start.
Great. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing
Yeah.
this great information. I know that somebody else out there was taking notes as fast as I was trying to take notes.
Yeah, it's
So,
it's great information. And the biggest piece is to work with your team. I'm not
right.
trying to overload owners with more work to do. This is something that can be done in conjunction with your team,
Mhm.
and it makes them feel like you're recognizing their worth when you
Yeah.
ask them to make these
Well,
improvements.
and it gives them an ownership feeling in your company
Yeah.
as well because
Yep.
you listened to what they had to say, it was valued, and
Mm-hmm.
they have more buy-in now. So now, they just automatically do a better job.
Right.
So,
Yeah. A
yeah,
whole different
yep,
perspective for
different.
them, you
You
know?
bet. Yeah. Well, thank you again. I'm so happy that you came to talk to us today. It's been a pleasure having you on
Yeah.
this episode.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I'm going to say once again, it's not how much money you make, it's how much of that money you keep. It's all about the bottom line profit. So if you found value in today's episode, would you take a moment and leave a review or share this with another home service business owner, or take a moment and go out to YouTube where you could like and subscribe to our channel.
Mm.
We try to just offer as much information as we possibly can that'll help home service businesses become more profitable. And if you'd like help identifying profit leaks and building your pricing and service structure to support growth and profit, reach out. We'd love to help. We have coaching programs, different various levels, where we'll help you find those leaking profits coming out of your business. We'll help you plug those profit leaks. So for now, take your profit first, hire a great team, and enjoy your business again. Signing off, Diane Gardner, for this episode. Bye bye.